Hey guys, STLYoungblood with you, and what we're doing today is another version of our Patron Roundtable. This time we've got two new faces. So before we go ahead and jump into our agenda, I guess, and before we get into introductions, I'm going to go ahead and let you know I'm a bit under the weather again, so if my voice is sitting here coughing or clearing my throat, I apologize in advance, but it is what it is when I've got a little plague carrier bringing stuff home from daycare. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and talk to some people that have better voices than my own at the current moment, and we'll go ahead and start up at the top. Joran, you're going to give your introduction?
I'm Joran, and I pledged in September of 2015. I am also the Bar Citizen guy. Didn't start Bar Citizen, but I am the main hyper and help people set up their own Bar Citizens around the world. And I am a super hyped citizen.
Perfect description. Brento, why don't you go ahead and
go? Yeah, I'm Brento73. I don't do any specific community stuff right now, so I'm the only one who hasn't been on Citizens of the Stars. I might start writing Star Citizen music soon, though. I think I pledged in either the end of 2013 or the beginning of 2014. I have 2 cats. I have several guitars. Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm maybe not quite as hyped up as Joran, but pretty close.
Perfect. And Rackseeker.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm actually a recent pledger. I pledged last June, and I always liked mining, so I joined the UMC, and basically I like exploration and mining and stuff. So I'm not a big fighter. I tend to attract be more a target than anything else, so I'll leave the fighting to other people.
Okay, sounds good. And for those of you that didn't catch the first one of these videos, you know, the people that you see on here are members of, you know, my Patron Discord channel. We have a lot of good Star Citizen discussions, as well as some off-topic discussions as well. But basically, we decided we want to take some of those discussions and move them from a text format and kind of the exclusive Discord area to a more publicly available discussion in the video format. So that's kind of where this all started and how we got this going. So I think there's a lot of things that we can touch on, and ironically the last one of these videos we did was in February of 2017, so 2 months ago, and we could probably still talk about a lot of those same topics today and have totally different discussions or totally the same discussions, because there hasn't been a lot that's changed. You know, 261, 262, 263 even. You know, I think we're all waiting on 3.0, so I think that's something we're going to get to. But I guess let's hit on some things that are a little bit more fresh in regards to the topics here. And, you know, we do a lot of talking about combat because that's what we have in the game today, right? I mean, you get into Arena Commander and it's you can fight. And you get into the Persistent Universe. Well, what can you do? Well, you can go fight pirates and turn on comma rays. Like, there's very limited things that we have the ability to do at the moment. But we're starting to be able to break out of that in 3.0. So I guess, Rockseeker, why don't you go ahead and start us off? I have a pretty good idea, but why don't each one of you talk about what your favorite or what profession outside of combat you're most looking forward to, and kind of give us a rundown on why.
Well, actually, I would not even consider combat as a profession for me. And just to point out, there's actually things you can do aside from combat even now. So as people know, I did the map of Yellow. And I'm currently working on something else, mapping of the asteroids also from close-up and cartography and just doing some exploration, basically. But yes, I'm really looking forward for 3.0. That's when we'll start to have non-combat carrier, where you can actually make some money doing these other things, because right now the only way you can get money is actually go and do some of those combat missions. Or either I go around in the rookie suit, or I decide to go do some combat to be able to buy myself a better spacesuit. So,
right. Okay. So I guess outside of that, I'm assuming mining is probably going to be what you're most looking forward to.
Yes, in terms of, yeah, definitely mining first and complemented with exploration. Yeah, okay. Definitely.
Okay, perfect. Let's just go up the line. Brento, how about you?
You know, I'm not sure. I really kind of want to do a little bit of everything. I like the idea of exploration. My first ship was the 315P, which, because of numerous shuffles and melts and unmelts, I don't actually have one in my fleet right now, but I might add it back. I like the idea of going where no one has gone before, even though that's going to obviously be very short-lived, I think. There's a lot of people that are going to explore. Other than that, I don't know, a little bit of everything. And I guess even when it comes to exploring, it's not even so much going someplace that no one has been before, but just something that I haven't seen before. Like, for instance, some of my favorite games are the Bethesda role-playing games, and I can still fire up Skyrim after 500-600 hours, and I can still find dungeons I've never been in. So that kind of thing really excites me.
Okay, good. And Jordan, I realize the irony of asking you what your favorite non-combat profession is while you're wearing a Polaris t-shirt. But go ahead and take us outside the box a little bit, and what do you have in mind?
It is an awesome shirt. This is probably my favorite of the shirts that we've gotten out so far. But
it is
yeah, as
awesome.
far as it fits great, it's great merch. Hopefully, we'll get more soon. I'm really kind of going around between so many different things I want to do, and none of them are combat. Initially, I thought I wanted to do primarily exploration, and that's why I got the Explorer pack with the Carrack and the Terrapin. So kind of depending on the exploration missions that I wanted to take, either just doing the small one person sneaking around out in unexplored space with the Terrapin and its really unique scanners, or taking out a mostly NPC crew on my Carrack. That was what I wanted to do the most, with a little bit of cargo and then some mining. Got the Prospector. Really super excited about the Prospector from that video that we saw 2 months ago now.
Yeah.
A little while ago. Looks gorgeous, and getting mining in 3.0 is going to be a lot of fun. Rockseeker is going to get to try that out real soon. And got kind of curious about about doing cargo. I was going to do some cargo and exploration in my Dur, and then I got a little extra hyped, and I got the Banu Merchantman. So
I gotta warn you, anybody that's considering doing or becoming a patron, we are very dangerous for wallets. So I will throw that out there. There's a lot of hype masters.
We are spaceship addicts in our patrons Discord, and it's the best thing. It's my favorite Discord channel, and as a Bar Citizen organizer and community hyper, I'm in probably 35-40 Discord channels. This is really my favorite one for just hardcore spaceship talk all day, every day. Really great group of nerds in the channel, and every time there's a new concept, it's like, all right, how many people got more ships?
For the record, I just got this really interesting image of Jurin as like the space version of Don King, just kind of running out there hyping up matches. So
that's what I do as soon as, like, when Sandy's tweet came out earlier, I went around and posted that in about 20 different Discord channels, just hyping people up. And that's what I do. Somebody posts something in one of the channels, and all of a sudden it's in 20 or 30 more channels.
That's about right.
I wonder if the customizations are going to be such that he'll be able to do the hair in game.
That'd be pretty sweet.
That would be awesome.
Hair's going to be interesting.
Get the Don King hair going on, Jordan. Make it happen.
We'll be able to change our hair every day. My plans kind of changed late last year, and I decided that I probably going to spend more time as very much a casual explorer, just really thinking about how much space there is in this game that they're developing for us, and the sheer scale and the place to see, and just how beautiful everything is. And I got all hyped up about the 890 jump, and with a lot of melting and shuffling, I managed to get that at the last anniversary sale. And probably most of my time, because I have very limited game time, is probably going to be spent just wandering around the verse in my 890 jump in safe space, avoiding combat in dangerous areas, and just looking at how beautiful everything is, and hanging out with nerds in the universe, going from system to system.
890 is an interesting ship in a way, because it's quite big. I don't know about defense on that ship. I haven't read much on it, but personally I'm not so interested in it, and it's quite expensive. It's a luxury ship, not only in terms of gameplay, but also in terms of acquisition. But
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting ship. I mean, it's got some decent weapons on it. I mean, it's not going to be an offensive firepower or powerhouse in any way, shape, or form, but getting some point defense turrets on it and getting the some other just man turrets, it's capable to defend itself. But I mean, you're not turning it into some battle cruiser or anything like that. It's more of a, it may not be worth pestering the rich guy on the fancy ship because he's got these different utilities on board. It's not. You don't have to worry about the rich guy in the fancy ship coming to attack you.
I feel it's going to be expensive to maintain. Every part on it will be like shining gold, and you have to replace them.
That's how I feel about my Polaris, though. I mean, that thing's only going to be brought out with something in mind. I'm not going on a cruise in my Polaris. I'm going to blow something up hard, and then it's going back in my hangar.
Yeah, all the big ships are going to be expensive.
The Polaris is a ship that you go in and out, right? You don't really hang around. It's a torpedo ship, right?
I think it depends on what you're engaging, too. When you're talking about a ship that's got, 10 size 10 torpedoes or whatever it is, or 24. Hell, I can't even remember what the number of it is.
28.
28,
It's 28. I think that's 20. Yeah, 24 in storage and 4 in the tube. So 28.
Yeah, that sounds right. But either way, you're talking about it's got 5 turrets on it, and those have size 4 weapons on it. So, I mean, if you're talking about going after an Idris, you're not going to sit there and hang around. But if you're talking about, providing cover for a convoy, in that situation, you've got a lot of pretty big weapons dotting your ship where you can actually do a lot of damage without much risk of damage to yourself. So I think you can kind of use it in a role that would leave it out for extended periods of time. But if you're really looking to do the max damage and really do the Polaris thing, you're dropping your payload and probably getting out.
I know what you think, but the Polaris seems to be about pretty much the biggest size you're going to really bring into battle. Really, the Idris and the Javelin are so huge, like they're a carrier. They carry a lot of ships. They're gonna stay in the peripheral of the battle itself, unless the battles comes to them, right? So, well, that's my feeling.
I think that's probably the case with the Idris. I mean, I think with a railgun up front, you're able to probably do damage from a long range away anyways, and you're carrying ships in the hangar, so I think that probably makes sense. I think when you start talking about the Javelin, you're probably more likely to start getting into the fight a little bit more. I kind of envision a destroyer willing to kind of get in and, utilize all the turrets that are on board, but again, I don't know. I think we're supposed to get more information on the Javelin pretty soon, and once we start seeing layout and what their STS weapons actually look like, I think we'll have a better idea. Funny, though, it is worth an observation that we're starting to talk about non-combat roles, and we're talking about the combat aspects of capital ships. We can't help it. It is just the most interesting part of the game, whether you'll admit it or not, Rock.
Well, I'd like to talk about the Orion.
Only to combat people. Only to combat people. And
the Orion is so far
I'm
down the line.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's kind of switch gears a little bit when we're talking about these non-combat roles. I think we all know that there are probably going to be ones that have, I guess, higher payouts, and there's going to be ones that have higher degrees of difficulty. So let's kind of try and get some impressions and just conversations here, like of the careers that don't involve combat, and that's disregarding situations like you're being attacked and you need to defend yourself. Let's take that out of the situation. So we're talking cargo, mining, exploration, info running, anything that's just not like bounty hunting, mercenary work, whatever. So of those, from a difficulty perspective, what do you think would be the easiest one for somebody to get into?
I think mining will be, well, mining and transport, but transport in a high security area will be quite safe, but the profit's going to be smaller. To be able to maximize the profit, you'll have to do more risky run. And because you're carrying most likely refined goods, you'll end up being a target of pirates. So one of the safe one for a larger profit scale would be mining, in my opinion, because pirates, okay, they may attack you, they're going to damage your ship, but do they really want to steal an Orion and run away with an Orion? Not so much. They want to steal the cargo of an Orion, like raw ore. So per cubic meter, I mean, it's not very valuable. So better go at the hull D somewhere and then have refined good in it. So
that's an interesting concept there. The pirates may not be interested in stealing something that then provides them with more work that they have to do to actually collect a profit. Now, at the same time, though, you're doing that same work knowing that you're going to have to find a way to turn a profit off of those goods. So, you know, I think the value is still there. The question then becomes, you know, do they want to grab the rocks or do they want to grab something else? And I think the big point in your favor, though, is something when you're looking at it, you see ore. When you do a scan of somebody's ship, you're going to be like, well, that's not really worth all that much, you know, compared to even the freelancer next door that's carrying a truckload of platinum. You know, that's going to look a lot more attractive. So I think you're right. I think it just kind of depends on how savvy that pirate actually is, though.
It's more that the pirate will have to steal the ship along the way. They basically steal the Orion, and go along with the Orion, and it's not the fastest ship around, it's the heaviest ship, and bring it to a refinery somewhere as a pirate and ask, like, here, I've got some cargo to deliver. Well,
I totally didn't just steal this.
Yeah.
Never mind the laser burns on the hull.
Yeah, the license plate is declared
completely
like stolen.
legitimate.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go on a refined good transport ship, then you can take over a portion depending on the size of what you're attacking versus your own size. If you have a caterpillar to carry stuff, you fill it with refined good, and you still have a good loot there to bring along, and you just leave the rest for salvage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Which brings us to salvage. I don't know, what's your guys' impression on salvage?
Well, we got a little bit of information on salvage from that ATV a week or two ago. You know, really that there's going to be two real, I guess, primary ways that people do salvage runs. You know, it's either going to be you get somebody that's going to dive in and really say, I want every part of this ship. I'm going to carve it apart. I don't care how much it's worth. I'm going to take it. I kind of look at that as being like reclaimer, right? You know, it's I've got a lot of cargo, or I got a lot of space to hold stuff. I've got the big arm. I can handle the biggest pieces. And then you're going to have people like a Cutlass. You know, I think even in the Cutlass commercial, you know, you saw the chick that was flying the ship looking at her display saying, okay, look, there's a piece of good here. I'm going to go fly that. I think that's probably going to be the most common piece. And I think that's what I think it would just be smart for anybody that's flying around that happens to have a little bit of cargo space.
Yeah.
If you see a wreck, you're going to scan it. And if you see that there's something valuable there, grab it, toss it in your ship, and go.
Yeah, any of the ship components.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit more punctual though, as opposed to you have an asteroid field. You go there. Okay, it might not be all the same value in terms of rocks you're mining, but you'll be every bit you mine brings you a bit of money. Mm-hmm. Where you do salvage, you're probably gonna have to look around until you find a jackpot kind of thing. It's a bit lottery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you have reliable people to buy information from.
Well, that's what exploration is all about. Like if I'm out in my Terrapin and I'm scanning a section of space, and I'm going to be looking for minerals, I'm going to be looking for wrecks, I'm going to be looking for wanted pirates, anything that comes up that I can sell the information to. I can sell wanted pirate information to bounty hunters. I can sell mineral and mining information to your mining organization. I can sell wreck information to the salvage people. If I'm out in my Terrapin and I'm just sitting there and I'm just focusing and scanning space, those are the kinds of things that I can do, just scanning for information and then selling that to people who can go and exploit that. Or if I'm in my DUR and I'm flying around and I scan some things, I can grab a few things and throw it in the back because I have some cargo space. And then, like, if I find a big salvage wreck, then I can take some of the components, if there's some that I can salvage, throw them in the back, and then sell the information to somebody with a reclaimer that can go and grab all the ship hull scrap and refine that into minerals. So, and just information exploration is not even the jump point scanning. I mean, just basic information that's constantly changing on where there's wrecks, there's a battle, there's mineral deposits, pirate activity.
I think that's the big part of exploration that people miss on a regular basis. I think most people always ask, you know, if there's only a limited number of systems and a limited number of jump points, you know, how are we going to find things? And I think that's a perfect example of the type of things that explorers are going to want to do, and that's where the money is. You know, you finding a jump point gets you fame. Finding location and information gets you riches. You know, you can. It just depends on what's important to you. And if that real fame and you want to name a new system after yourself or something like that, you probably need to alter your expectations in that situation. But from a I'm worried I'm going to run out of things to do as an explorer, I don't think that's a risk, and I think that's a great point to bring up.
Well, it's well known. It's well known that nothing will be permanent, will be fixed. The jump point will change over time.
Yep.
It's a dynamic universe. So even if you had an information today, tomorrow, the longer you wait before you sell it, it changed already, and then there's other people that can find it and sell that one. So your information value declines over time. So that's quite an interesting concept.
It is. And before we move off of salvage, I did want to throw out an option C as far as, you're talking about the sporadic, unless you've got a really good resource or information resource. There's another one that's almost like a cooperative effort. And in our organization, we've already had some deep conversations about, all right, so when we're rallying the warpath, and I mean, we're a well-rounded organization. We're planning on doing, We've got like a combat side, we've got an exploration wing, we've got a transport wing, and a bunch of things that fall in between there. But when we're planning some military mission where we're planning on going out and really doing some damage, we're already planning on bringing a reclaimer or two in tow behind us, because we know we're going to fight, and if we're going to fight, there's going to be damage, whether it be us or them or NPCs or whoever. There's going to be stuff there. And then what you can almost do is start to use something like a reclaimer to help supplement the operations that you're already on by having the foresight to bring something like that. So then all of a sudden what your convoy looks like is you've got your, your scouts, and then you've got your fighters, and then you've got your like support ships like, redeemers and retaliators and gladiators. And then behind that, you've got your real convoy support ships, which are going to be like your reclaimers, your crucibles, and like your starfarers. And then all of a sudden you've got the ability to go for long periods of time, and you can kind of reclaim some of your lost, I guess, revenue by eating up some of the ships that have been destroyed. So I think there's a lot of different ways it can be done.
It's interesting that you say that, because the UEMC, although mining is at the core of what we're doing, so the largest divisions will be mining and hauling, and some exploration. But we basically, like you, have a bit of everything. We'll have some combat people just for providing basic security. We will have the reclaimer to go salvage our own mining ship that gets damaged, because not only from pirates or non-natural damages, but also just from the action of mining. Mining will be dynamic, so we'll have the whole range also. So that's quite I don't think there's going to be. It's interesting because I had a discussion with other people in the UMC this week, and basically I don't think there's most of the organization will end up having multi-face to their they won't be a single thing that they do. They will end up doing a bit of everything, because also people will want to experience a bit of everything.
Yep.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to want to do a lot of different things. We've talked about mining a lot and exploration, cargo, but a lot of people that don't have the bigger ships and can start off just doing a little bit of small cargo, some small exploration. And there's a lot of different roles that we haven't even touched on that are non-combat oriented, like passenger hauling. Like I think somebody mentioned just today the Genesis Starliner, just hauling passengers, and I've got a bunch of people a few people in the 890 Jump owners channel that they want to haul VIP passengers, which are going to be fairly higher paying.
And it's interesting.
I'm not going to do that, but some people are going to use that for income to haul passengers around.
Yeah, there was even one guy from the UMC that he got a Genesis, and he said it's going to be to carry miners to the site, so they don't. It's blindfolded in a way. They don't know where they're going, so you can preserve the secrecy of the location. So only the Orion captain will know where we're going.
And that's not a bad idea.
That's kind of genius, actually. I like that.
And there's a lot of people that are going to want to crew on other people's ships. Like I want to spend time as a crew at some point on an Orion, even though I don't own one. Yeah, and a lot of people, they want to do things on other people's capital ships, and even maybe being a steward or a bartender on a Genesis Starliner. I mean, even if you don't have more than a
well, we could picture you serving beer, right?
Yep, serving beer. but all the people that don't have fleets, we've got fairly significant fleets, but a lot of people, they've just got their starter package, and what can they do with the starter ship in the universe? And even though they may only be able to haul a little bit of cargo or do a little bit of exploration, they can take a berth on anybody else's bigger ships and take part in their operations. So like Rockseeker was saying, and he's going to need people that are going to crew his bigger ships. The Reclaimer, that's a multi-crew ship. The Orions are multi-crew ships. The big cargo hauling ships like the Hull Ds and Hull Es, they're going to need crew. And there's a lot of things people can do that aren't combat, and even if you don't own all these big ships, which the majority of citizens are not going to.
I have a question to throw at you guys. What do you think we talk about fleet, right? On STL channel and group, we tend to have medium to large fleet, let's say. Yeah. But what's really the proportion of players out of the 1.6 million player now?
1.
You would
7.
consider 1.7 have fleet in quotation mark?
I would
probably
say
just a small portion.
I'd say it's a small portion. I mean, I have two friends that I introduced to the game, and they both just have the 315p, the old starter pack.
It's been a while.
I think a lot of people.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've got any stats from CAG on that. But the last time they posted that, I think they said that 60% of the packages that were purchased were Auroras. So if that gives you any idea, all of a sudden, most people that are growing into a fleet aren't still going to have an Aurora.
Right.
I'm making an assumption there. Some people are nostalgic or want that experience or just like the ship for some reason. But I think most people that are going to say that, I've got, a Hornet, and I've got a Freelancer, and I've got a whatever, a Prospector, they're not going to then say, well, I need an Aurora as well. That all of a sudden just becomes hangar flare. So I think if we look at that and we say, all right, well, if 60% of the ships or the packages are Auroras, then we can probably say that, I don't know, 20% of those are people that have made some upgrade to their basic starter pack. And then past that, the other 20% are people with fleets.
I think that's a lot of people that are here in the early alpha stage, because people that backed with a starter package back 4 years ago during Kickstarter, and just inevitably they're going to invest more cash into the game, and we're still very early on. Well, once the game goes live and we go from 1.7 million or whatever we were at, 2 million when the game goes live in a couple of years, and we have potentially 10 million people that they buy in with a starter ship, and anybody who's buying in now, and you've got 30-something thousand people that watch your channel, and they're thinking, well, do I have to spend thousands of dollars to get into Star Citizen to have all these ships like these guys have? Am I going to stand a chance of having a decent life and a career and having fun in the game if I just spend $45 or $60 for a starter? And when the game goes live, it's absolutely going to be possible, because they'll come in and they can earn income with their starter ship. They can get jobs on bigger ships, and they can work with other people, and they can do missions. And the vast majority of the population, when they come into Star Citizen, aren't going to have fleets like ours. I mean, we're a pretty small percentage of the overall population of citizens and potential citizens, and there's a lot for everybody, not just people who have spent a lot of money.
Us doing the good citizens also, because we have those ship, will end up sharing that experience that we enjoy about the game with those newcomer and say, hey, you want to try this, come on my ship and fly it for a bit and enjoy it. And
I do that in the
because we want to share that joy, right? We're all excited about the game, and we think about that, we chat all day about it, too much maybe, but
not maybe, definitely.
Yeah, well, according to my wife, yes, definitely too much. But even the kids who are gamer are saying, Dad, you're always looking at Star Citizen. I said, I was always looking at Mario. So
yeah, what you got to say to me? Yeah, no, I agree. So I guess let's kind of circle back a little bit. I think one of the things that we wanted to kind of hit on in this regard was, in regards to the economy. I think some interesting things in how this all works is just how all of these different career types kind of go together to create the same type of economy. And Jerome, you kind of hit on this a little bit earlier, as far as like explorers almost starting things out. You got people that are going out there, they're trying to find information, an explorer finds something, boom, they go to sell that information, and then all of a sudden you're like, all right, so this is a prime mining location. So we're going to go ahead and a mining organization like UEMC may end up picking that up. They end up going out there to halt, actually mine and process the goods. Maybe they're just so out there with Orions, they don't really have any transport ships around, so they then hire somebody else to actually go out and actually take the goods from point A to point B. They then get to point B where somebody's going to have to refine that, and then all of a sudden that creates a supply and that system where then, the price for that good becomes cheaper because somebody is actually taken that good there. But 12 different people have made money off of that sort of transaction. I think that level of economic, cohesiveness is really interesting to me. And I just can't wait to see how it all plays out. And
it's one of the most exciting things to me. Absolutely.
And that's how it has to be.
Yeah, we've had some conversations in the organization about even just having dedicated economists. We need somebody to figure out what the impact is to these changes and how we can best work as an organization. So, that's mind-boggling to me, and I can't wait to see how that works.
Yeah, and goods are going to have different values in different systems, and even in fairly simplistic games. I think I never played Elite Dangerous. I know a lot of people in the channel have, and you buy goods in one system, and then you look to see what system that you can sell those in other systems. But in Star Citizen, that's going to be tremendously more complex because that's going to be constantly shifting depending on supply and demand. If there's a war going on in one system and it's more difficult to get, and there's certain shortages, or there's a blockade and they can't get certain things, and the prices for those goods are going to skyrocket. So if you're willing to take a dangerous mission to run some goods that they really need into that system, okay, well, there's a war going on here and they need ship components and there's a blockade, and okay, so you go to whatever system that manufactures those ship components and you buy those up and you run them over in there and you run the blockade, and you get them in there and you could make a fortune. But it's tremendously dangerous, and you could lose your ship, you could lose your cargo, and there's so many different aspects to the economy, and that's one of the things I love watching Tony Zurvik, because that's his big baby. His background is really creating probably the most complex economy that any game has ever had, and it's just exciting. Super.
Well, I remember playing a game in early 2000 called Jumpgate. I don't know if you guys played that game. And it was very similar, much more simplistic. But basically, miners would bring material to stations, and then you'll have haulers moving them between stations, because to get higher, more evolved components of ship components and eventually ships, yes, you had to basically bring around the component. The economy was not fluctuating as much, but if they let the economy really fluctuate, as you're saying, at Joran, with blockade and just having to go through and the price skyrocketing, that's going to be very interesting for some people.
Well, and I think that's something that's really exciting, is kind of something you both hit on a little bit, is in regards to, there seems to be a direct correlation to level of difficulty and level of profit, which is everything about Star Citizen to me. It all of a sudden becomes, how much effort are you willing to put in to developing your skill set, or how much effort and detail are you willing to do on this type of mission to be able to accomplish it? And if that level of effort to become good is high, or that level of detail in this mission and effort is high, then you're going to be paid accordingly. And I think that is something that is really exciting to me, and I think that's something that I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy once we actually get in game.
Yeah, definitely with cargo, I was going to say earlier, as far as people who just have a basic package, one of the great things about hauling cargo is it has almost no barrier to entry. So any Aurora has some cargo space. I guess the Mustangs don't, but most of the ships.
But Mustangs do too.
Some,
they both
do
haul
they?
cargo. Yeah.
Okay.
The smaller what's it, the big box?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can put underneath both of them.
Oh, okay. Cool. So yeah, I mean it's so you might not make a lot of money, but it's the equivalent of sort of the tutorial zone quests in like an MMO RPG or something.
Yeah.
Take this here
absolutely.
and get a little bit of silver coins or something. You go there, you get a little bit of UEs.
But then at the same time, your costs are not that much either. I mean, compared to running a whole E.
And you can experience a game, you can meet other people, and you can sort of build from there. So I could foresee somebody who is maybe doesn't really want to do combat, but is a really good pilot, being a really good transport pilot. I mean,
well,
being able to run blockades and things like that.
Even then, it still comes down to that high skill level and making it work for you, because somebody in an Aurora that's willing to put in the time and the effort to say, all right, this good is in high supply in this system, but if I make 6 jumps and get it to this system, I know they are in dire need of this exact product. So I'm going to do the research, I'm going to take the time, I'm going to buy the product, and I'm going to make that journey. That person's probably going to end up making more money than somebody in a freelancer that's taking nails from Seoul to Magnus, and Magnus has a boatload of nails. They're probably going to take a loss in that situation. So if you take into account and you're smart, I think it's going to come down to, again, player skill, where you're going to see the profits.
That's what's so great about the game as it's going to be in the universe is that it's so completely up to how much effort you put into it, you get out of it. And if you want to just run, like Rockseeker was saying, if you want to run cargo from one planet to another planet in a safe system, you may not make that much, but you can just keep running those and you can earn money and do the grind of just farming that cash, of running grain. I think there's one system, I don't remember which one it was, but they grow agriculture on one planet, and then the other planet they don't have any agriculture, and they're making more industrial goods. So, and you could literally just run grain or whatever agricultural good from the one planet to the other planet in a completely safe system. You won't earn a lot, but if your costs are low, and you can just keep doing that until you earn more, and you get a bigger ship, and then you can earn more. So I mean, literally, you can put out very little effort and just time. Or if you want to do more complex strategy, everything's about how good you want to get at things. At mining, mining is going to be a mini game all itself. The way that mining happens, the way that exploration happens, how good you are as a mining laser operator or as an exploration scanner operator. Everything's dependent on how much effort the player puts in, how much you get back out of the universe, which is so different from every other game out there.
It's interesting because we've been talking about hauling in more dangerous area or hauling in safe, doing milk run between two safe planet along a safe route. But in a way, mining, it's the same thing too, because even if we look at our own, the way we structure the UEMC with divisions, we have like several divisions for safer area, where you basically harvest there and just pull the material out. But we have a division dedicated to the null sec space, basically for those that thrill by not just mining, but they want to do it under precarious condition and always be on the nerve of being jumped on. And
some people like that.
I mean, that's big business in EVE Online, definitely. But
so I'm going to go ahead and take that as I'm going to make a forced transition here to try and move us into our next topic. You're talking about null sex situations, and you're talking about wanting to defend those that are actually doing, combat out in the, out in the wilderness, if you will. So I think a new ship that's coming out that we've just heard about is going to be the Banu Defender. Now, I think this is a really interesting ship to kind of talk about, and it's one that apparently was under our noses for God knows how long. However long that image of that whiteboard has been out there, apparently, apparently in Chicken Scratch it was Minuteman. We all just assumed it was Merchantman because in all reality, we probably should have realized they weren't going to talk about the Merchantman.
I think There was some discussion about that at the time, that it kind of looked like Minuteman, but it just totally fell off the radar. People stopped talking about that.
Personally, I like the name Minuteman, but I guess
I think the name Minuteman is actually pretty cool for a ship. I think they probably looked at it and said, that doesn't feel Banu to us.
Yeah.
That feels like a very human name of a ship. But then again, so does Merchantman, so what am I talking about? But anyways.
Yeah.
So Banu Defender is essentially supposed to be a combat ship of sorts, at least for the Banu race. And I think we'll probably turn this over to Jordan to talk a little bit about the kind of history of the Banu, at least in regards to what they try and do. But I think as far as the ship itself is concerned, the only thing we really know about it at this point is it's supposed to have this weapon that was recently just teased, equipped on it, which was the tachyon laser. And basically what that is it's a long-range, high-damage weapon. It's basically a ship sniper rifle. That's about the only thing we can really allude towards the ship. So I personally have some thoughts on what this ship is going to be, but I guess, Jordan, why don't you take it away with some of your impressions of what you think the Defender is going to be, and what we can take from what we know about the race.
Yeah, I think because we got that great lore makers last week about the Banu themselves, talking more about how they're completely trade focused. Trading is everything in the Banu culture. That they really don't even have a military. That they call up their ships as into militias when they're in danger. So like the Merchantman is primarily cargo focused and trading focused, but it's got some pretty nice weaponry on it. I think the Defender is going to have to be dual role. I think it's going to be it's going to have like a small cargo capacity, kind of like a freelancer, but it's going to be a little bit more agile and more combat capable, so that it can kind of be an escort role. And Ben did say I think in Ben's day, that the Banu never have single-person ships. They always have at least two. So that this is going to be a small two-person, multi-role, highly combat-capable, small cargo ship that's going to be super cool.
It should be super cool.
When we say highly combat, more in a defensive manner, though, right? Mm-hmm. Like strong shield, maybe not a strong weapon, not necessarily the fastest shooting weapon, and multiple of them, but probably very resistant, tough, right?
Yeah, I don't really have a good feel from any of the information they put out yet, other than that tachyon cannon. It's going to be long range, high damage. But I would assume that it's probably going to have an escort kind of role.
I think when we start talking about that is it's going to be, you've got a long-range, high-damage weapon. I think that's the stay the hell away from us weapon. Like, I don't want to have to engage you, but I have the capability of doing it, and I can do it before you can do it to me. I think it's I think the ship turns into a flying deterrent. I think it's you're looking at this convoy and saying, oh, there's a couple merchantmen over there, but guess what? There's also 5, Minutemen over there too, or defenders, and they can probably destroy me before I'm even able to fire my weapons. I think that's the type of thing this ship ends up becoming. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if we end up seeing these ships having several of these long-range, high-damage weapons on them. They probably have long recharges on them, so it's not like they can just spam them.
Slow rate of fire.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of long-range weapon on it, and I wouldn't even be surprised if they ended up having some sort of flak weapon, like an energy shotgun or something like that on on a turret or two. I think the sole purpose of this is going to be, it's not an offensive ship, and the name even says that, right? The name is saying it's a defender. And I think if we combine what we know about the Banu, and we combine the one weapon information that we have, and we combine the name, I think we end up getting this pure deterrency ship, and I think that's exactly what it's going to be. I think, Jordan, you're dead on. I think it's probably freelancer sized. I don't know if it's necessarily going to end up having, large, cargo ability. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some also, space for utilities, as far as things like, I'm guessing the Banu doesn't have an EMP. They probably have something that's more alien. Maybe it's a tachyon burst, for example. But maybe there's something as far as like a utility that's a last ditch effort. But I think we're kind of on the right track there with the deterrency ship.
So you would think there would be some e-warfare in there. That's not something I was picturing for it.
Maybe stealthing, some kind of stealth capability.
That may be more than e-warfare.
I don't foresee stealth though, because you don't want the merchantman can't hide. You don't want the defenders hidden. You want them to be there so
as a deterrent.
Right. Unless you're looking to get attacked, and they're being so trade focused, they're not looking to get attacked. They're looking to get their stuff where it's going. So I don't see stealth, but I do agree with the idea, STL, of like the sort of the energy shotguns or something on turrets, something so that they've got these long range sniper rifles, 1 or 2 per ship maybe, so that if they see incoming, hostiles, they can take a few shots, hopefully chase them away, at least do some damage. And then if they come in close, then they can just, they've got basically some sort of a flak or an area denial weapon that they can
and probably a rapid fire for those.
Yeah, something that they can spam to make it really uncomfortable to stay in close. Because the worst case scenario for the Banu is that somebody comes in with a whole bunch of like, sucker punches and EMPs and shuts down the convoy and then boards, right? I mean, that's what they're trying to avoid.
Yeah, no, I think that makes total sense. So, I mean, I would be shocked if this ship is anything other than a pure defensive capability ship. Which is funny considering I don't know if I've ever had less to go on than what I have on this ship, and I don't think I've ever felt this confident in what the ship is going to be. I kind of wish that CIG would do a description contest, kind of like they do with their artwork stuff, because I'm pretty sure I could write the brochure on what this ship should be. And the question is whether they'd agree with me or not, but right now I feel like 99.8% sure that I'm right on it.
Another question is who gets it in his fleet?
Yeah.
I think we're all getting at least CCUs for the thing if we're not buying them.
Yeah, it seems pretty interesting. If it,
you're gonna be paying the alien tax.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. That's true. But if it's
I got my 1 alien ship. That's enough for me. But I'll leave the Banu to you. Right?
Okay. So. I actually have a merchantman in Melt that I'm probably gonna get back.
I'm happy with my glaive. So.
I'm really trying to justify to myself to keep my Vanguard and not move up to the merchantman, but. If I end up moving up to the merchantman, then I've got a whole D sitting around where I'm like, okay, what do I do with this? So I keep it. Do I change this? And
a whole other reshuffle.
Moving one thing in my fleet right now becomes a really complicated situation. So
yeah,
I would agree with a lot of people that the Banu Merchantman is the most underpriced ship for what it's going to be in game worth.
Absolutely.
That thing's probably going to double in price, maybe even triple. But I think 500 at a minimum is probably what we're going to see that go to, unless it shrinks in size. Yep. But at this point, based on the concept images that they're starting to sneak out, I have no reason to believe that.
And everything's been getting bigger. I mean,
they have to make it bigger. They have to make it bigger.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our last topic here. We'll spend just a little bit of time on it. So the community is going crazy. That's the easiest way to start this off. And I mean, it's probably for good reason, right? I mean, as much as I love CIG, and I mean, I do, and I love what they're doing, and I share in the vision, and I'm trying not to scare off Joe Rune Hype Master over here. Transparency has been questionable at best, and we're just like, give us a date on 3.0. So I'm not going to ask you guys what 3.0 is or when it's coming, because the community's been talking about that like crazy, right? So let's just talk about what we think is next. 2.6.3 kind of snuck up on us. I don't think anybody was that surprised that was going to hit PTU. It seemed pretty likely, actually, right? That in a way, it almost felt like a time buying measure in my mind. Like, we're not ready to show 3.0, so we're going to kind of sneak in a .3 into a PTU status so we can justify spending more time on getting the timeline together.
Well, there were a lot of desync and stuff too, right? You were
they were primarily fixing a couple of major bugs that they had there with the desync.
But that's broke fix, and that should have been addressed in PTU before the 2.6.2 ever went to live. So
they should have taken longer.
Right. So if they're retroactively going back and doing .3, it's like, I don't know. I could be wrong. It feels a little strategic, but whatever. So,
I think they should have taken a little bit longer with the 2.6.3 PTU. or the 2.6.2.
Yeah.
Because, well, they were definitely fixing some things that kind of snuck up on them that they didn't. I don't think they had a really good feel for how much of an issue it was when 2.6.2 released. And then there was a lot of feedback on the issue council and people talking about it on Reddit and the forums that they were having some major issues there. The pads full was one of the big ones.
Yeah, that was a big one. So I guess we know 2.6.3 is a thing. How confident are you that the next release is actually 3.0? What are the odds of a 2.7 coming? They've said we're going straight to 3.0, but I look at it in two different ways. I look at it and say they have been pumping out so much content that makes me feel good about 3.0. Specifically, when they were working on the planetary outposts, you had a guy on Yella, which was actually seen as far as an asset. So you had in engine a guy running around in orbit or in planetary outposts on Yella in engine. To me, I'm like, it's there. It's there. It's got to be close, right? Now, there's a lot more that's going into 3.0, so you can look at things like that and say, okay, we're really close, but how about all these other things that we're reliant on to actually get there? So, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? I mean, let's just run it top to bottom. So, Jordan, we'll start with you. What's next?
Well, hype aside, yeah, I'm the biggest hype Pollyanna that there is that I know, but I watch everything, and our group watches everything pretty darn closely. But I really pay attention to the tone of how they present things and how they're talking about what they have ready, what they're working on, and when their tone is more okay, well, we're thinking about this and we're trying to figure this out, it's further out. With a lot of the recent ATVs for the past month and a half, they pretty much have everything figured out, and they're primarily building out content. They're polishing the AI. They had a full 24-hour life cycle on an AI a few weeks ago. That was one of the biggest holdups. The mega map, which is critical to the netcode, that they've successfully rolled out in multiplayer Arena Commander with 2.6.3, and it seems to be working phenomenally. The mega map and the object container streaming is so fast. Everything loads so fast, and that was really the test bed for 3.0, rolling out the whole universe in the new netcode. The building tools, the style guides, like the components for the space stations. We saw the truck stops a couple of weeks ago. We saw the planetary bases. We've seen the surfaces. There's no heavily vegetated surfaces on any of the planets in Stanton. We're mostly seeing moon surfaces right now. The only thing they really haven't shown us much would be the landing sites on Hurston and Microtech. Right. ArcCorp is going to have limited landing zones, and they're going to build those out after 3.0. Crusader's going to have a floating city, floating refinery stations. I think they've got pretty much all the tech done, and they're mostly building out content. It took a long time to get the tech down, to make sure that it was working, to build the tools, to build the universe. And there's been a few people even talking recently, kind of being a little salty in some of the streams about, why are they still building tools? Well, these aren't the tech tools. These are content production tools. These are tools that they're using to be able to churn out content at a mind-boggling rate. I mean, they're going to
exponentially increases their production rate. So the time spent on developing it is nowhere near what the net gain is.
Yeah, and that they've been really, really strongly saying that right now, over the past several months, right now we're building the tools to build the universe. And once we get that done, it's just building content. And Aaron Roberts has been really good about giving some information. He had an interview that was published a few weeks back saying that they're just about done with all that. As far as the tech, and once they roll out 3.0, it's just content beyond that. I mean, everything is just building content, fleshing things out, building star systems. I think things are going to go at a tremendously fast rate really soon, and I don't think we're going to have anything between here and 3.0. Notwithstanding the brand new tweet that we had from Sandy just like an hour ago, that they're working on the 3.0 schedule right now in a room in Austin, and I'm pretty darn confident we're going to have it on Friday.
I'm looking forward to that. All right,
Friday.
All right, Brito, what do you think?
That's what I'm betting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. At one point, I recall that they had a more detailed sort of list of specific blockers. I can't remember which update that was leading up to 2.6 maybe. And if they had something like that that said specifically, we have to finish this, we have to finish this, I'd be more confident. Jordan, you make some good points about the sort of the tone of the recent videos. I expect, maybe I'm kind of the opposite. I mean, I'm kind of a pessimist. I expect there to be like a 2.7, but maybe not. Maybe they really are that close. And if the tools are there, then yeah, it should be pretty quick. But I don't know. I know the tools make a big difference. That not to derail the conversation, but a recent game that came out, a new entry in a famous sci-fi series that's being panned for issues, and a lot of YouTube channels of industry insiders, people who work or have worked in the industry, say that they all seem to agree that that's what happened, is that they didn't have their tools up and running soon enough to meet the deadlines, and so it shipped without really being finished.
And that was the fourth release in that game.
Yeah, it was a new engine though, and that's what I've heard, is that they didn't have the tools set up for the new engine as well as they thought, and
I guess I sit personally. I guess I sit somewhere in between. I don't think there's going to be a 2.7. I think they're pretty close, as Jordan says, to 3.0, except this upcoming Friday. I think it's a bit short. I would think more like early summer, and there might be a 0.4 or 0.5 just to make us wait there and just fix a few more things.
To clarify, I'm not saying that they're going to release 3.0. We're going to have the schedule.
Yeah, the
Friday.
schedule. Okay,
it's going to lay out exactly how long it's going to be until we have it. I still don't actually expect it for probably about 6 to 8 weeks. I'm thinking late May for Evocati.
Okay, then we're.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Schedule on Friday. Just the schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying they would announce something.
No.
I think for me, I am thinking 3.0 is next. If you would have asked me 2-3 weeks ago, I probably would have said I'm banking on a 2.7. But I agree. I think I've kind of just felt the same thing. Jordan's talking about as far as the overall tone of the development. And I think transparency could always be better with CIG. I think that's just one of the overall criticisms with them. And I think sometimes they do really well and sometimes they don't. I would like to know exactly where they stand as far as the blockers. We signed up for the alpha. We want the alpha. But let's go ahead and just bypass that part. ATV has been incredible the last couple of weeks, and the content that they've pushed out has been admirable. It's been impressive. It's been fun to watch, and I think it's been insightful. And I think that last one is the most important one to me, because what I've seen being developed in these ATVs and what they've been displaying, which you have to assume is at least a couple weeks old, or maybe not a couple weeks, but at least a couple days. I mean, you're looking at past footage of things that are going to be going into 3.0. The improvements that are being made there are significant, and I think that's something that makes me feel really good that a 3.0 is going to be next. I initially said when we had the first Patron Roundtable back in February that I was expecting 3.0 in July. I think May is realistic. I do. I'm not counting on it. I'm going to go ahead and move it up a month and say June, but I think May is realistic, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we hit a May release for 3.0. So I'm excited. I'm on the upside right now. I'm like, hey, let's go.
I do bet it is probably going to be one of the longest PTU and Evocadis that we've ever had.
Yes.
It'll come out and it'll be buggy as hell, but I don't care. It's going to be freaking amazing.
So, no, I can't wait. All right, guys. Well, I think we're coming up on the hour of recording at this point, so I think we're going to go ahead and start to wrap this up. I want to try and end all of these, because I appreciate the time. I appreciate you guys being patrons. So we'll go bottom to top. I want to give you guys an opportunity to say anything you want to close and pimp any projects or organizations or anything you want to. So Rockseeker, why don't you go ahead and kind of give us a little sign off.
Well, thank you for having me here. That's a nice experience. I'm not a big YouTuber like some other people, especially like you. But yeah, and I'm looking forward to do this again. That was actually quite fun. So
always fun to talk shop. You want to give a shout out to your organization or anything?
Oh, well, I think people see it right there somewhere. Yeah, so yes, the UMC,
if you like mining.
Yeah, well, we're actually the largest mining corporation in the verse right now. So we're about 300 people, all with mining interest. And our first and last rule is to have fun. So basically, we're a casual organization and everybody's there. Because in the end, right, it's a game. We hear those people talking about how they want to do money with their ships and so on. But in the end, people are not just going to work for working. It's not a day job, right? It's a game. People are going to be there to have fun. So, and that's what the UMC is all about. Having fun while we do mining. So, and everything around mining. So.
Right. All right, Brento?
Yeah, thanks for having me back. That's about it. I guess I'll see if maybe by the time there's another roundtable, whether I'm in it or not, I might have you plug some Star Citizen theme music if I come up with something. So.
Well, if you make it royalty free, I'll put some of it in my videos.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
All right, and let's wrap up with Jeroen.
Well, of course, barcitizen.se, if folks are looking to either find a Bar Citizen in their area or start their own Bar Citizen, we've got a Bar Citizen Discord channel. There's a link to it on the website, and constantly hyping that. And you can find me on Jeroen_SC on Twitter. I'm constantly hyping there, and
great follow on Twitter.
Yep, definitely follow on Twitter. Lot of fun hype on there. Try to get lots of timely information out, plus just cool hype images. And Spectrum. Spectrum is coming along really nicely, and they just rolled out all of the sub forums. So the old RSI forums are going to be frozen here on the 14th, and the new chats and new forums are working out pretty well, and enjoying that quite a bit.
That could be a topic for the next Patron Roundtable, to see how people adopt the platform and so on. It's quite different. It's because that's where the community was for a long time, and now we're like pushing people really onto Spectrum. So
yeah,
topic for the next one.
All right, noted. All right. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. I know it's always fun to try and get random people together to have these conversations, but it's fun moving the conversation from text and Discord to actually a vocal conversation and something we can put on YouTube. So to all three of you, I appreciate it. To the rest of you guys that are watching this video, again, this is kind of what we do on a daily basis in Patron Discord channel. So if you guys have interest in becoming patrons, there's going to be information in the video below. So check it out if you want to. Otherwise, just enjoy. If you guys have conversations you want discussed in the next episode, put those in the comments as well. Otherwise, I appreciate you all watching the video. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and take care.